Hi guys, this is Brett from crowdedbrain.co.uk. Today I'm just going to have a little look at this Devolo dLAN 1200 Wi-Fi AC starter kit, which is, obviously you can see, it's quite a long title. And joking aside, this actually does have quite a lot of nifty features tucked in underneath its chassis, I should say. Now, as you can tell by the look of these devices, these are actually power line adapters, and what that means in layman's terms is that this will use your mains electricity supply in order to route your data, for example your internet traffic. Now, what differs from standard power line adapters on this particular kit is that this supports speeds of up to 1200 megabits per second across that power line, and it uses this. I don't know the exact kind of technical details on this, but I believe it uses the 3 wires of the electrical supply, which allows it to kind of get these improved speeds. Now, the existing power line technology I'm using is only 200 megabits per second, so this 1200 megabits per second support is pretty good. Of course, the 1200 megabits per second is only obviously its maximum data throughput. You're very unlikely to get those sort of speeds, specifically because the main interface isn't running at that speed. However, the LAN ports do support gigabit Ethernet, which is 1000 megabits per second, so you have got a kind of a system here where you've got a lot more power. Now, I think this retails for about £160, so you would assume or hope that obviously it would give you a lot of performance. And while obviously I'm jumping ahead here, I have done a series of tests at the moment on this, and so far it's shaping up pretty nicely. But obviously I'll put the link to the review, which gives you a bit more information about my findings, in the description below this video. For now, I'm just going to show you a quick look at the box contents, because essentially I've just got all of this out of the box. Now, you get a standard Ethernet cable here, which isn't that long, to be honest. It's probably just over a meter in length. Now, this is because this is just designed for the standard power line adapter, which will plug into your router, but at least they've obviously supplied you with one of these cables. You'll still have to use your own Ethernet cables if you want to tap into the LAN side of things on the other power adapter. You also get a couple of pamphlets here, which is just basic declaration notices. These are just those two here. This is the actual manual. Now, the manual is a little bit fiddly in some ways, mainly because, as you can see from the diagram at the front, it's actually showing you the European plugs, and which the actual picture is upside down, so you just have to kind of adapt to the way the diagrams are, kind of showcase here. I can just give you an example here. You can see there that adapter is upside down, so when it's actually saying to press a particular button, you just got to remember that it's showing you the European version, so you just got to adapt to that to the UK use. So you only have very basic instructions, so you can keep going along here and that sort of thing. But I found that you can actually download a piece of software called Devolo Cockpit, and that actually allows you to do a lot of the setup afterwards, and I find that the actual interface is quite useful for doing that. What I mean by the setup is that you can change the default password, because even though this is a power line technology, it also has the ability to create a Wi-Fi hotspot, and in this case it's a Wi-Fi AC hotspot, which can communicate up to 1200 megabits per second in this case. Now, obviously you have to have a source that supports that standard as well, but the other benefit of this is that it can also expand your existing wireless network in terms of boosting the signal strength. But as you can see from the adapters themselves, they're not exactly on the small side, specifically this unit, and that's because this is acting as the Wi-Fi AC hotspot alongside the power line technology. However, you do need to allow for obviously the height on this particular model, but I would say that in practice they do surprisingly sit quite nicely on the actual mains points, and I'm going to show you a real world example of that in just a moment. And the other thing I do like about this unit is, as you can tell, it's slightly kind of offset from the back, so which means that if you've got a switch which does sit behind this unit, you can turn it on first on the wall, then plug this in and it still sits comfortably. But what I like about it mainly is the fact that you can see on the front it's also got a pass-through, and what that means is that you're not actually wasting that main socket. So for example, you can still plug in things like TVs, you know, hi-fis or anything like that straight into the socket, so you're actually not wasting it. The other thing I do like about this starter kit as well is the fact that at the top, as you can see, you've got dual LAN ports, and more specifically these support gigabit Ethernet, which is obviously 1000 megabits per second. So what I can do in reality, I can plug in my Xbox One and my PC upstairs now, and I can then use the power of the electricity supply in order to route my data traffic. And it's a great kind of feature if you do struggle with the wireless signal. However, because you've also got the ability to clone the existing network, i.e. boost the signal strength through the wireless side of things, you do have that added benefit as well. As you can see from the other power line adapter, this is a little bit smaller now. This is the one that you actually plug into your router, so you've only got the one LAN port at the top here. As you can see side by side, it is also a lot smaller, and it's also, I don't know if you can make this out because it's white, you can actually see it's also kind of thinner in terms of its profile. You also will notice on this adapter you've got this button here. Now this button is used for the encryption side, so as soon as you're actually setting this up, you press that button and it will automatically do the encryption. So it tries to take away a lot of the technical aspect this particular kit does, but in reality I think you still need to have a bit of IT savvy in order to utilize it, especially when you're kind of cloning your network. And I'll mention a lot about this in the review. But as you can see, they are quite large, and in this particular case you won't be able to see, obviously visually see this, it is also heavy. But I would say the build quality is exceptional. It's definitely got superb build quality, and I do think they look stylish as well. And while you're going to need, like I said, a lot of clearance of this particular model, I think in reality you can still plug existing kind of appliances next to this power line adapter quite comfortably. And I'm just going to go off now and show you that in a real world example. So I'm just going to head over to the kitchen now, and you can actually see this in practice. So I'm now back in the kitchen here, and as you can see I've got a double mains socket here. These ones have also got USB points as well, which I can use to obviously charge my smartphones. Now this is the wireless kind of the wireless hotspot kind of adapter. As you can see it's quite big. I'm just going to plug this in now, and as you can see there it plugs in reasonably okay. Just got a standard iPhone or iPad plug here. As you can see that has plenty of clearance, so I can actually plug two things in at once. Also I have this point at the front, so I can utilize that socket, so I'm not wasting a mains point. So like I said in just previously, it's a really good design touch there. And this is the standard unit, and as you can see there, that has plenty of room to plug in next to it. The only thing in this case is it does cover up those USB points here. So that's the only downside. If you've got one of these, it will cover those up. And also access to this switch is also hampered, so you must make sure that this is on before these are plugged in. So I've just plugged that in, and as you can see there, you might just make out you've got some LED lights here. I'm also plugging this in now because I am actually running out of batteries on my camera here, and even though you can't see this, it definitely is charging. So I'll plug that in. That's just a quick, brief example obviously of what they look like in real time in terms of obviously how their size in comparison to the main socket. Okay, so as you can saw from that kind of kitchen example, it does plug into your main socket. I would say, it wouldn't say completely comfortably, because obviously in that case I had to switch it on from the mains first, then plug this in order to utilize it, because I couldn't actually physically get my hand round in order to switch it on and off. However, I forgot to mention in the previous opening part of this review, you've also got a couple of buttons at the top, and these again are used in the setup side of things. And in this particular one you can see it's a Wi-Fi symbol, and this actually gives you the ability to switch the Wi-Fi side on and off. So for example, you can quickly enable the Wi-Fi hotspot and then turn it off when you don't need it. The software, the Devolo cockpit software, allows you to create not only the Wi-Fi hotspot using a kind of an interface, but you can also do things like a Wi-Fi timer, which means you can turn it on at certain points of the day automatically. You also get parental controls, so you can limit the use of the Wi-Fi. And you can use a lot of the interface through your smartphone, because it supports the Android and the iOS platform. So that's just a quick look at the Devolo dLAN 1200 Wi-Fi AC starter kit. So I'd just like to say thanks for watching, guys, and stay tuned for more news, reviews and features from crowdedbrain.co.uk. Thank you.